Burning Question, presented by Nissan Magnite, powered by Amity University, NECC, NetMeds, and Century Ply.
Rahul Gandhi grilled by the Enforcement Directorate for nearly 7 hours in the National Herald case. As ED summons Rahul Gandhi, Congress stages pan-India protests over summons, blames the ED. It's on camera. Protesters say unsure of cause of protest. Were crowds hired to back Rahul? Smriti Irani takes on Vadra. Congress says Congress protests in the capital are to protect rupees 2,000 crore of Gandhi family. And charges against Gandhis for taking loan of 1 crore from Kolkata-based Dotex Enterprises Limited. Money was allegedly bought via black money route. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm Sujarta Kukreti. The National Herald case investigation has exploded, and that is to none other than the Congress's credit. Congress party workers, including senior leaders, launched a massive protest against the interrogation of Rahul Gandhi in this case. Rahul Gandhi has been grilled for nearly 7 hours by the Enforcement Directorate in 2 rounds today. Here are the developments that have ensued so far.
Eight years on, out of power, still neck deep in scams. One of the biggest scams of the Vadra Congress has come back to haunt it.
That Messrs Young Indian was incorporated with the intent to carry out charitable activities in 2010. Is it also true that in 2016, the same company, which is owned by the Gandhi family, has declared that in the 6 years of its existence, it did not carry out a single charitable activity?
But the Congress is crying foul, maintaining its status quo.
नेता के ऊपर जब लाठी बरसाई गए, वो चोट भी आए हैं, तो क्या जरूरत है ये? हम तो शांतिपूर्ण ढंग से ये सारे हम हमारे नेता को साथ सिर्फ जेस्चर और सॉलिडरिटी दिखाने के लिए वहां तक जाने चाहता हूं.
Senior Congress leaders have come to the Vadra Cong rescue as usual, while Rahul Gandhi keeps mum.
Reaction.
कांग्रेस दफ्तर जाते हुए सीधी तस्वीर आपको दिखा रहे हैं क्या मानसिक रोड से होते हुए
But no amount of silence from the Vadra Cong will brush the charges against them under the carpet.
Or the collateral crimes that have been committed along with the main thing. And that is, for example, income tax, that's a collateral, money laundering, collateral, misusing the buildings of the thing for non-journalistic activities.
Will the National Herald mark the judgment day for the Vadra Congress? Let's debate.
And on the burning question, the guest that I have tonight, senior leader and spokesperson of the BJP, Tom Vadakkan, joins us. Political analyst Professor Geeta Bhatt is with us on Burning Question. Savio Rodriguez, chief editor, Goa Chronicle, joins us on the show. Political analyst Amrit Shenoy. Political analyst Manasvi Thapar joins us on the show. Amrit Shenoy, who's a leader, Congress and former AICC member, joins us on Burning Question. Abid Mir Magami, youth leader of the Congress party, joins us on the show, and Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist, is with us on Burning Question. And let me begin the show with Tom Vadakkan and Amrit Shenoy. Tom, is it so impossible for the Congress party to be able to digest the fact that two of the figures around which the entire party moves, they've been summoned for ED questioning. The entire party was on the streets. The chief ministers left their states and were in the capital, wanting to show who's more loyal to to Rahul and Sonia.
Well, you know, there were two other leaders who were interrogated by the ED, Khargeji and Mr. Bansal, who was the treasurer of the party. There was no band baja and activity at that time. But now that they have realized that they have been exposed, they have this band baja and Baratis coming around. You have chief ministers leaving their state and coming in. And they're also tweeting that, well, a constitutional person was blocked by police. Now, the question is, when Section 144 is in prevalence there, and you come here defying law, and you're fighting against an institution which is only investigating the matter. You are a constitutionally elected person, is that your claim? And here you are coming and disturbing a mere interrogation. The question the people of India are asking, what are you so scared of? I mean, what is it that you're so worried about? If you're clean, go there, tell the truth, the matter should end. But no, because there's no truth to stand on. The reality is, Jotex Mercantile Private Limited is the real core issue. They gave 1 crore rupees to Young India, which was 1 month-year-old, and with a turnover of 5 lakhs. And it was, first they said it was not a loan. It was a kind of a donation. Then words changed that no, it was not a donation. And then when Subramanian Swamy stepped in, they said, well, you know, they will charge interest. The point is, this is a company that is being red flagged by the Enforcement Directorate earlier too, that this is basically a Hawala racketeer. And this Hawala racketeer has been doing business. They've got money from abroad. And for that, they're giving this 1 crore. You give them a check, they'll give you cash. If you give them the cash, they'll give you check. If you give them dollars, they'll give you rupee. This is their full-time job.
Now, let me come to the allegations that you're making. It's not just one agency, Abid Mir. There are multiple agencies that are looking into this. It's not just one agency. It's very easy to say that the agency is being misused by the government. That is the charge that the Congress party is putting. But is it easy to ignore that multiple agencies are looking into it? These Hawala transactions that Tom Vadakkan is speaking about, are they just plain lies?
Yeah, in 2015, ED found no evidence and the case was closed. But today, the Modi government is again misusing the country's constitutional and autonomous agencies against the leader of opposition. There is no case of property transfer. There is no mention of money. Then how can there is a case of a money laundering?
Well, I'll tell you.
You're saying there are no transactions being made. Now, Abid Mir, let me make this very clear. If an investigative agency is calling someone, is summoning people for questioning, they must be having something. The onus lies on them. Savio, am I wrong in this? The onus lies more on the ED. They need to have it on paper, things that actually makes them summon leaders of a big opposition party. I really don't know how big it remains in the country now, but it is one of the main opposition parties, Savio.
ED is only using to silence Rahul Gandhi ji and Sonia Gandhi and nothing else. There is no evidence. No evidence. In 2015, the case was closed.
Perfect. If they don't have any evidence, they will be silenced themselves.
There is no evidence.
If they don't have any evidence, they will be silenced themselves. That's exactly what I'm saying. The onus lies more on the ED.
Can I speak?
So you should not be scared, Savio.
22 case again reopened. Why?
Fine.
There is no evidence.
Fine. Abid Mir says the case is closed. There's nothing left in it. So the onus lies on the ED now. They need to prove what they have. They need to bring it out in the open what they have. And if they don't have anything, it's fine. They're going to come out clean. Savio. Abid, let Savio speak.
How's the case closed? And if
Please take Savio and Abid on screen. Yeah.
How is the case closed? The investigation continues. the Supreme Court's directed the investigation. If Rahul Gandhi and the others are absolutely clean, they will come out clean. If they are not, they will pay the price for the corruption accusations that have been made on them. So I don't understand what this drama is all about. You know, for me, I actually saw it as a movie trailer for what could be one of India's best comedy movies ever to come out. Unfortunately, they termed it Satyagraha when they should have actually been calling it Rahul Bachao Andolan instead of Satyagraha, because that's what it is. It's absolutely a comedy show, and I watched it through and through on your channel. I couldn't stop laughing because one of your reporters in Bombay, you had these people who had come out to protest and they didn't know what they had come out for. They were like extras in a movie. They were like an extras in a movie. I mean, that's funny. Rahul Bachao Andolan is a super
and let me tell you, Savio,
it's a super hit. It's a
those reactions
rip-tickling
came in not
comedy.
just from one city, multiple cities.
Absolutely.
Amrit Shenoy, multiple cities. We went and asked people who were on the street. We asked them why they were on the street. They did not know.
Comedy.
They did not know, Amrit Shenoy, why they were on the streets. So when Savio says it's a Rahul Bachao Andolan, Rahul Bachao Satyagraha, how will you deny that?
Yeah, this is democracy.
In fact, Rahul Gandhi is the biggest threat to Kapil Sharma.
Yeah, this is democracy, and as a political party, we have every right to exhibit our protests, and we are not intervening in the business of any agency. Rahul Gandhi has appeared, and if somebody feels it is a comedy show, they are at liberty to laugh. We don't mind, because this is also a propaganda against Rahul Gandhi, and they are bothering too much about a comedian. That's the issue here. If Rahul Gandhi is a comedian, why Modi and the entire BJP bother?
Obviously
We do our protest and go
we
back.
need to laugh, my friend. We need to laugh. I'm a huge fan of Rahul Gandhi's comedy. He is the best thing to happen to India. In fact, he's the star campaigner for the BJP. So please continue.
But if he wins the election in 2024, don't cry then, please. Then also you have to laugh.
That is the joke
you really think that's a possibility? You really think that's a possibility, Amrit Shenoy? No.
Yeah.
I think the debate seems to be changing.
Yeah,
I really don't want to go into who's winning 2024, but Amrit Shenoy clearly thinks that things could change, Geeta Bhatt. Things could change if Rahul wins 2024. I really don't think BJP is even looking that side. But Amrit Shenoy is very confident. Seems very confident. That is the reason so many leaders took to the streets today to prove their loyalty.
Yeah. Can I take 10 seconds?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Amrit wants to continue. Just finish his point.
Yeah.
Amrit, finish your point in 10 seconds.
Yeah. In the year 2004, the entire Indian political analysts felt that Vajpayee will win the election again. But surprisingly, people voted for Sonia Gandhi. So anything is possible in politics. This gentleman will definitely laugh after 2024.
But you know what, Amrit, there's a big difference.
Yeah, I'll give you my number.
There weren't
give me
many opportunities and chances given to Sonia Gandhi before that. There wasn't a caricature made out of Sonia Gandhi before that. All this seems to be happening with Rahul Gandhi. How many chances have been given to him? So let's not get into that debate. It's a completely different debate, Geeta Bhatt.
I just
Let's
gave one
focus on
example
today's pictures. So many people taking down on the street. The way he's been caricatured by the BJP, I mean, I think you will have to give it to them. They seem to be a lot responsible for what's happened to Rahul Gandhi today, and they've won it hands down at what they've done. Geeta Bhatt, let's stick to the pictures. Let's stick to the pictures. Yes. Okay, Amrit. I'll come to you. Let's stick to the pictures, Geeta Bhatt. So many leaders on the street.
Well, all the best to the Congress supporter on his wishful thinking, but the kind of a political gimmick that we saw on the streets of Delhi, where from chief ministers to all the the so-called bigwigs of the Congress party were on the streets protesting a mere investigation that is taking, an inquiry that is being conducted by the ED is something which is, it is not something which is going to impress the public. That I think that as a political party they need to understand. And Sucharita, it is something very serious, because these are charges of financial, irregularities. And considering that all the three courts, the Patiala Court, the High Court, the Supreme Court, they had gone to all the three courts asking to, quash the proceedings, but it was rejected by all the three courts. And considering that a company which was founded in sometime in late 1930s by Jawaharlal Nehru, which had shareholders, without the intimation to more than 1,000 plus shareholders, this AJL was very quietly, given over to the Young India Limited. And the best part is that the Congress party gives a loan to AJL of 90 crores. And then AJL, then the Young India takes over it, considering that they are going to, pay off this loan. While all the three entities, it is being owned by people from the Congress party, from their past, owned by the past president, the present president, and some of the other senior leaders of the political party. I mean, this is something which is so baffling, that financial irregularities of such order were being done when the UPA government was there. And also please remember that it was at the time of the UPA government itself that the investigation agencies had questioned Mr. Rahul Gandhi, that he did not declare that he was the director in the Young India Limited. And also that the kind of exchange of money or the assets, party assets which took place, that was not informed by him being a director of that company. So this is something which is very, very serious, and this needs to be taken very seriously by the
so now there were, from what sources tell us, Manasvi, there was a series of questions, and Rahul Gandhi being grilled by the Enforcement Directorate. He was being asked about how the money transactions took place, what were the bank accounts being used, did he know, to what extent did he know, because he was obviously a 38% partner in Young India. Now, it's very clear that at the time these transactions took place, there was a Chhatra Raj, as you call it. So they never thought, the Congress never thought, or maybe the Gandhis never thought that they would ever be questioned as to what happened, how this entire takeover took place, how the money was flowing in. They never really thought that this would be ever questioned.
Yeah. Sucharita ji, good evening. Hope you will give me an uninterrupted time, because this is very important, and this is not a comedy show as quoted by some of the panelists. It's a very important debate. Why when we talk about this, we as a country would want corruption-free India, not selectively corrupt India, wherein when great leaders like Narayan Rane, Kirit Somai, Yedurappa ji, Suvendu Adhikari, Mukul Roy, and these people also have ED, CBI cases. And CBI, the question is not on BJP. I don't want to go into BJP's questioning. I would want to question ED. Why are they selective when there are people corrupt in a political party which is in power? They are selective. The files are not moving ahead. The corruption charges, the same party, BJP, which is in power as of now, went right, left and center against Suvendu Adhikari. Now there is complete silence on this. And ED, one of my co-panelists said about the Supreme Court. They cited about the Supreme Court and the honorable courts. The same Supreme Court in the month of September 2021 said the ED chief cannot be extended. BJP arm twisted the regulations, fundamental regulations, and brought in an ordinance and made the ED chief extended his extension. This have never happened in the past before. Now moving on. In 2020, the Honorable Home Minister set up an interministerial inquiry against all the charity foundations of Congress, be it Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, be it Indira Gandhi Memorial Foundation, Charitable Foundation, or Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Foundation. What have come out after 2 years? Nothing. The idea here is, what is happening in this country. Is ED against opposition, or is it there ED is against corruption? If ED is against corruption, why there is no same yardstick against Yedurappa ji, against Mukul Roy, Subhendu Adhikari, and the list goes on.
I will take your question to Tom Vadakkan, but Manasvi, let me take your question across to Tom Vadakkan. But as you're saying, now, going by what you're saying, the ED has absolutely lost all right to question the opposition, because if it's going to take up any leader from the opposition, the opposition will start saying that this is a misuse of organization. Isn't that the charge made by every leader who has ever been questioned by the ED from the opposition? That's a single charge that's made by opposition. Tom Vadakkan, he says, you do not question your own leaders. You never bring them to task.
Can I answer you?
You never question them through ED. It's only happening to the opposition leaders. Okay, Tom Vadakkan.
Let me answer that question. I have something to say today on all channels. The Congress spokesmen have been saying that Young India is a non-profit company. So no profit is accrued to the company. Now my charge is, if you look at the company law, non-profit company can however sell its assets as long as the individual or entity purchasing the asset is paying a reasonable amount, ideally the fair market price. No, I'm coming to it. I'm blowing one big lie that is being propagated by the Congress party. I don't need to answer your question. My answer is, you say, well, opposition is not being prosecuted. This is standard.
You don't have an answer.
Every
when is Narayana going behind the bars? When is Yedurappa ji going behind the bars? Where is Subhendu Adhikari going behind the bars? No, it's about country. It's about our country. It's about our country. It's about our institutional strength.
You are not a lawyer.
So it's about our country, Manasvi. But when a certain leader, when a Rahul Gandhi is questioned, you take to the streets. That is perfectly fine. You directly questioning them, asking them when are they going behind bars. But the one who's actually being questioned, you are getting all the leaders onto the streets saying this is misuse of power, ED is being misused. All allegations are there. Let's go across to Ashutosh Mishra. Ashutosh Mishra, am I wrong? Am I wrong there, Ashutosh Mishra?
Yeah, you are wrong, because in the last over decade, ED out of the 1700 cases has been able to convict only 9 people. The conundrum here for BJP are the elections in Gujarat. There is a partidar agitation going on, and what is the typical atkana bhatkana tactics of Modi ji and BJP? Start mudslinging.
Well, I'm proud of the fact.
They go after Rahul Gandhi every time, because let's remember, last time it was because of Rahul Gandhi that he had to cry, twist the statements of one of the opposition leaders to get votes. They are afraid of Rahul Gandhi.
That is only the reliability
even in
of
Tamil Nadu,
Enforcement
when there were
Directorate.
elections, they raided Stalin's daughter.
It is the credibility
Income
of
Tax Department
Enforcement
raided.
Directorate. It is the Enforcement Directorate
that
who
Okay, they are
stands on the
afraid of
ground.
Rahul Gandhi. Here comes another one. Okay. Ashutosh is saying the BJP is afraid of Rahul Gandhi. Savio, BJP is afraid of losing out in Gujarat, is why he's being questioned by the ED. 2024, the big win for the Congress party has already been spoken about. Rahul's leading that campaign, and now the big victory in Gujarat is what is worrying the BJP. Savio.
Well, you are entitled to live in a fool's world, and that's fine. I love the optimism Congress have, and they must continue with the optimism, because I personally would want Rahul Gandhi to continue to lead the way for the Congress, because he's the best campaigner for the Congress, because it benefits the BJP. It benefits the BJP. As long as Rahul continues, BJP wins. So Rahul Gandhi, please continue. Rahul Gandhi, आगे बढ़ो. Comedy show आगे ले लो. हम आपके साथ हैं. Rahul Gandhi, comedy show आगे ले लो. हम आपके साथ हैं. Rahul Gandhi बचाओ आंदोलन की comedy show आगे ले लो. वो सबसे बढ़िया comedy movie है. उसको आगे जाने दो यार. उसको क्यों रोक रहे तुम लोग? जब तक राहुल गांधी है, राहुल गांधी अपने अतरंगी चीज करते रहेंगे, बीजेपी आगे बढ़ेंगे. बीजेपी आगे बढ़ेंगे, राहुल गांधी है, राहुल गांधी का कॉमेडी शो आगे जाने दो. Let his comedy show go ahead. He's a great comedian. He's a fantastic comedian. He's one of the best this country has ever produced. He is so natural. Rahul Gandhi is such a natural comedian that today he got Congress leaders and extras to come on the Rahul Bachao Andolan movie.
Now let me. Okay, so one on the panel thinks that 2024 is being won by Rahul Gandhi. Ashutosh ji here thinks that he's winning Gujarat and that is why BJP is scared of Congress and Rahul taking on, and that's why the BJP, and that's why they're saying that the ED is taking on Rahul Gandhi. Now I really want to ask the visuals that we had on screen of leaders coming onto the streets protesting. The leaders protesting, trying to save Rahul Gandhi. Let's just look at these visuals from today. We had Ashok Gehlot walking down as if there is no issue happening in Rajasthan and he could easily come here, walk, take to the streets and protest for Rahul Gandhi. Nothing is happening in Rajasthan where he needs to take it on the streets. When was the last time, Abid Mir, I'm asking you, when was the last time that we saw this kind of protest by the Congress on people's issues? I'm talking about people's issues, not Rahul Gandhi's issues. People's issues. And if you would have done that and you would have succeeded in that, that would have been a bigger problem for the BJP. There are no protests like that happening on Janta issues. Issues that you could counter BJP on. Why?
Did you forget the farmers issue? Who is leading the protest?
Was that the Congress protest?
You know?
Oh, good news! Yeah, you told me that the farmers' protest was a Congress protest. I didn't know this. I didn't know this. I didn't know this that the Congress was behind the farmers' protest. Good that you brought that to light.
In country?
No, the farmers' protest was a Congress protest, Abid Mir. No, please tell me. I didn't know this. Please correct me.
Congress means.
And tell the entire country that the Congress party was behind the farmers' protest.
Of course. Every protester, we are with the people.
Of course, okay. So great. Abid Mir, I'm glad you brought that out. Abid Mir, who's a youth leader from the Congress party, saying that the Congress party was behind the farmers' protest. I did not know this, sir. I did not know this. Now that you brought it out in the open, we should know that it was a political agitation, Tom Vadakkan. It was a political agitation. Farmers took to the street. There were no farmers. They were Congress people.
No.
Congress workers.
It's a people's issue. It's a people's farmers issue.
Why? You just said that the Congress was behind the farmers' protest.
Congress was behind every issue.
Savio, am I wrong? Savio, tell me. Savio speaking.
We are for people.
Savio speaking.
We are for people. Congress means India. Do you know?
Whether he paid Rakesh Takayat. He just said he was behind the protest. You just said you were behind the protest. Did you pay Rakesh Takayat?
Don't come here.
Oh, don't please tell me. Come on. Come on. Don't be so sad. Don't be so sad. Watch Rahul Gandhi's comedy show. Be happy. Watch Rahul Gandhi's comedy show. Don't be so sad. दिल पे मत ले लो यार. दिल पे मत ले लो. दिल को स्ट्रॉन्ग बनाओ. दिल पे मत ले लो. दिल पे मत ले लो यार.
कॉमेडी मत करो.
दिल पे मत ले लो यार. राहुल कॉमेडी शो देखो. हैप्पी रहो. खुश रहो.
सपने में आते रात को.
Okay, I asked a very serious question. I had asked a very serious question, and I said that precisely. I asked that precisely, Abid Mir. Why? Because if the Congress would have taken to the streets and agitated, come across as a strong opposition, Tom Vadakkan, there would have been some serious threats to the BJP. Is there a threat to the BJP by the Congress in the country today? Looking by the numbers, looking by the past statistics, looking by the elections that have gone by? Tom Vadakkan?
Alice in Wonderland. There's people, they think that they're going to win Gujarat election, they're going to win Himachal. I mean, these are all hopeless situations. But one thing is emerged, that they are behind, they were behind the farmers' agitation. It's an admission. I think you should run your
Not agitation.
Congress finally admits
it's not agitation.
that the farmers' protest
It's a protest. It's a protest, not an agitation.
Absolutely.
It's correct your word first.
Projected by the Congress party. Let the
correct your word first. Correct your word first.
Congress
protest.
party,
It's a protest.
Congress party
protest. It's a
is
protest.
behind the farmers' agitation, and the leaders that were sitting there were puppets being operated by the Congress party. Here's an admission outright in public domain. Now, I think it's time for you to run a scroll saying that this is the breaking news on your discussion, on your channel. There's an admission, open and outright, that the Congress party manifested, planned, and orchestrated the farmers' agitation. The country suffered. And why? Because they wanted power and backroom operation of the farmers. And incidentally, what happened to them in UP, where the amount that they deposited was lost, and the reality is they think that Rahul Gandhi can revive the party. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, and I am appalled by the fact that Abid Mir here is very clearly saying that the farmers' protest was a Congress protest. As Tom Vadakkan says, there's a big admission on burning question tonight that the Congress was behind the farmers' protest. What I'm clearly saying, Ashutosh, and I'll speak my mind out. There are many people who may not have any political affiliations to the BJP. But they do not see an opposition in Rahul Gandhi. They would want to not go the BJP way, but they do not see any way that goes to Rahul Gandhi. That's the fact. And they do not see any leader in the opposition. That is a fact. Am I saying the wrong thing? I might be detouring from the debate. Just one reaction and then we'll go back to the ED visual.
So two things I want to say. First of all, today Mr. Tom Vadakkan has admitted on your channel that BJP is going to deny the farmers their MSP that they are claiming and against which they have threatened to launch agitation. They have not withdrawn cases against farmers, and now they are going to use this as an excuse not to give MSP, not to bring MSP law and to punish farmers. So you have put farmers in trouble by this. Number two, coming back to Rahul Gandhi. Now, it's not what you see. It's more important thing is that Narendra Modi and BJP see Rahul Gandhi as the main threat. That's why they are always targeting Rahul Gandhi. You are asking what protesting. You remember how they went to...
You don't want to speak on an open admission about Congress behind the farmers' protest. You don't want to speak on that?
You know. Votes every time may come.
You don't want to speak on that.
You may lose. The thing is, the protests are there, and BJP still sees Rahul Gandhi as its main contender, and that's why they keep attacking. And you have jokers who keep coming up with PJs on Rahul Gandhi. That's the point. The point is not what you and I say. It's BJP and Narendra Modi who see Rahul Gandhi as the main challenger.
We like Rahul Gandhi. The country likes Rahul Gandhi because he's the best entertainer. He's a fabulous entertainer. He's a fabulous entertainer.
He talks about
it's so wrong.
The common man, not the
it's so wrong that you don't identify Rahul Gandhi's main character trait. It's so sad. He's a brilliant entertainer.
Let me go across to Professor Geeta Bhatt. And I will come back to the question of this, the kind of protests that happened in different parts of the city. Geeta Bhatt, the leaders, there were big faces on the street today. There were people like Ashok Gehlot who came all the way from Rajasthan to be seen next to Rahul Gandhi. And we saw big Congress faces on the street supporting Rahul Gandhi. Now, the basic question is, if a law enforcing agency if an investigating agency is questioning Rahul Gandhi and the Congress keeps saying it is not in the wrong, then why fear the whole process? Why fear the questioning? Let that happen. You will come out clean at the end of it.
Well, I could see, Sucharita, I could see on the screen that, they were holding posters of Satyamev Jayate. Now, if there is nothing to hide, if there is nothing wrong that has been done in this whole process of, transferring the properties worth 2,000 crores in big cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, which belong to AJL, in 2008-10, to the Young India Limited, there was nothing wrong in doing that. smuggling allegations which are there, if it is untrue, then there is nothing to be scared of, nothing to fear. Why is it that, chief ministers who, very important work and administrative dealings that they have to do in their states, they left all that work and they are coming and walking on the streets, rendering their support to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who at present is neither the president of the Congress party, neither is the vice president of the Congress party. He is simply a member of parliament representing the district in Kerala, and he, while present, is being questioned by the enforcement directorate. Let the enforcement directorate do what is the part of its duty, and if there is no truth in it, then definitely they will come out clean. We have seen our present Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, the SIT had called him and grilled him for nearly 9 hours. He did not come with anyone. He came all alone at that time.
Exactly.
Supported.
Now that is one big debating point that Geeta Bhatt brings into burning question, and I will go across to Manasvi. Manasvi is from Ahmedabad, and Manasvi, she very clearly reminding us of the present Prime Minister's questioning by the SIT. And he went in there, he sat for hours and he came back. There can be questioning. That does not mean that you take hordes of netas and karyakartas with you on the streets protesting. It can be done in a quiet manner, because it's a process.
Hope you'll Hope you'll allow me the time you have asked the question. That much time, if you'll give me. So, precisely that is the point. That is the burning question. I totally agree with her. That time, the ED director, the ED chief was not given extension in an arm twisted way. That time, agencies were not caged parrots. That time, investigation was not partial. This is what we expected this government to do the same. Why? The question is this. I totally agree with her, and I am on that point. The ED chief, the Supreme Court of India said, should not be given any extension in the month of September 2021. The government of India, the BJP government, arm twisted the rules and gave extension. Why was that done? That is the question. That is why we cannot trust the present ED. That is why we cannot trust the present investigation. This is the precise moot question. At that particular time, ED chiefs were not given extension when the Supreme Court or the court said no to him. They were not brought in back through a different door. When a term ends, it's an end for that particular person. A new person is appointed. This has never happened in the past. This is the burning question. And there are fellow panelists who saying he's the biggest comedian. There is no answer. The question here is ED impartial? The question here is, will other leaders who are in center, in power, will be investigated? If Rahul Gandhi is wrong, put him behind the bars. But if Yedurappa ji is wrong, why are we silent on that? If Suvendu Adhikari is wrong, why are we silent on that? This is the burning question. And why was an extension given to ED? Didn't we have other officers
your question is directed towards Tom Vadakkan. Let me take his answers to all the questions that Manasvi has asked. Manasvi very clearly saying why an extended tenure for the ED chief, and does that mean it is all being done to question Rahul Gandhi and to bring him to the ED office? We'll come back on that, on the burning question. We'll quickly slip into a short break and come back. So Rahul Gandhi is still there at the Enforcement Directorate's office, and the questioning still goes on. The first round of questioning that lasted for about 3 hours, and the second round still goes on. Tom Vadakkan, let me come across to you with the questions that Manasvi raised. He's saying that the ED chief's tenure has just been extended only to basically put Rahul Gandhi, kind of bring him under the scanner in this entire National Herald case.
This is the biggest lie ever heard. The reality is, here's a man who's doing his job, and there has to be a continuity in the situation. And if in the wisdom that it is in public interest, you give an extension. It is the right of any
Supreme Court says do not extend.
To give him extension because he's doing a good job of the investigator. And if you think Rahul is guilty, why are you so scared?
If you don't want to believe that, if you don't want to believe in the law of the land, Close Supreme Court.
UPA is not given any extension. Is that your case? There have been
Close Supreme
extensions
Court.
given.
If you don't believe in Supreme Court, close Supreme Court.
No, it's not a question of believing or non-believing. It is the executive
Shut Supreme
power
Court. Let's together work on legislation wherein we can just shut Supreme Court.
Let me tell you the law. Executive power cannot be manipulated
Tom Vadakan
by
so you don't believe in Supreme Court.
interview.
Are you saying on a national television that you don't believe in Supreme Court? Are you saying you don't believe in Supreme Court? So let's shut Supreme Court. Now you are in power. Let's not believe what the Supreme Court is saying.
You don't put words in your mouth. Don't put words in my mouth.
So if the Supreme Court says, if the Supreme Court says that there should not be any extension of this particular person, and you arm twist that particular and bring an ordinance and bring that person back on table, so that's a disrespect to Supreme Court, isn't it?
It is not. There is something called division of power. If you do not understand that,
so you are saying it is respecting Supreme Court.
No,
Sir,
division
so you are
of
saying
power.
That respecting
the
Supreme Court.
state can bring an ordinance.
So you are saying that's respecting the order of the Supreme Court. That's respecting the judgment of the Supreme Court.
It is part of respecting the Constitution. It is respecting the
You are saying
Constitution.
that is respecting the Supreme
If you
Court's
don't
order.
understand that, it is not reviving the Supreme Court order. It is only standing by what the executive power is.
So
the
you that
judiciary's
is
power.
one Supreme Court
if you
says,
compromise,
so anytime Supreme Court
Okay, Manasvi, now that you're pointing this out, it's very clearly Okay, Manasvi, now that you're pointing it out, I think Tom Vadakan very clearly said, has the Congress never extended tenure for any of the ED or the investigative agencies chiefs? Has the Congress never done that? And I know you will not be able to answer that with an affirmative.
When the Supreme Court,
Has the Congress never done that, Manasvi?
When the Supreme Court says no to a person, I am asking you, when the Supreme Court said no to a person's extension, have the Congress done that? Have the Congress done that? Tom Vadakan should answer. He's been in Congress. He should answer
so what is the plea?
If Supreme Court has said that no person should be extended, has Congress done that?
Clearly.
Rahul Gandhi.
Savio, what does the matter pertaining in the Supreme Court says? I don't want to go into this, but since Manasvi has raised a point, I want to ask Savio. There was a plea, and plea was being put out by private individuals that question the ED chief's tenure. Now, please, Savio, enlighten the country, because Manasvi has been talking about this. Because has there been any kind of has the government done taken a step which is not in compliance with the Supreme Court saying? Savio.
Okay, since we are talking about the Supreme Court, let me bring an observation that the Supreme Court made in 2013, where Justice Lodha had said very clearly, when the UPA 2 was around, that the CBI behaved like a caged parrot and it follows its master's voice. It was not the NDA government in power then. In fact, it further goes on, and if you read the Reuters report, and I'm taking the Reuters report primarily so that we don't have an Indian implication to the viewpoint, in there, 2 CBI directors, former directors, very clearly stated that the political class will never allow CBI to have the independence to investigate. In fact, both, that was Vijay Shankar and Jogendra Singh, mentioned these statements in the Reuters reports post the CBI comment. Now, why did the Supreme Court make that comment on CBI? So obviously at that point of time, the UPA government was using investigative agencies to hold on to the allies that they had at that point of time in order to control to be in government. So is Congress now saying that they have never misused these authorities? So what you're really doing is you're making CBI and the ED look as authorities that are driven by the political class, and they're not independent of their own. And that is sad, because there are some very good officers in CBI and ED, but the institution is somebody that cannot...
What Narendra Modi and BJP do is manipulate law and the central agencies.
And Congress has done the same.
CBI,
Congress has done the same, my friend. The Supreme Court even whipped. The Supreme Court even whipped the Congress.
will also be going across to the visuals that are coming in from the Enforcement Directorate office. But I want to just ask Ashutosh Mishra, since you and Manasvi seem to be speaking on this, I'm just saying this, that the extension of officers after the age of superannuation should be done in rare and exceptional cases. This is what the Supreme Court said, but at the same time, it upheld the centre's powers to extend tenure of the director of the Enforcement Directorate. Isn't that the bottom line? Yes, isn't that the bottom line, I'm saying? Because this was the plea filed into the Supreme Court. Is what I'm saying. Those visuals, we'll keep a track of those visuals that are coming in from the ED office, because Rahul Gandhi may be coming out anytime soon. But let me tell my viewers that this is just the beginning, because Sonia Gandhi has been summoned for the 23rd, and there is no ending. There is no ending of this entire ED summons in sometime soon. This will continue on those visuals, and we will be keeping track of what happens on the 23rd when Sonia Gandhi is summoned. Thank you so much to everyone for joining me on Burning Question.